What does it take to turn your life around? I'm Penny Lane. In the Driver's Seat starts now. Welcome to In the Driver's Seat, where we delve into the lives of extraordinary individuals who drive their industries forward. In this episode, we explore a former inmate's journey from crime to community, using fitness to help others rebuild. Joining me now is Joe Kwon, founder of Confit Pathways. Hello, Joe.
Hey, how's it going, Penny?
Great to see you. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I am a real believer in second chances, and I love your story of how you've turned your life around. Let's start right at the beginning and tell us a little bit about your childhood and what it was like growing up for you.
Look, my mum came here as an international student from South Korea. So she actually came here on a music scholarship to Sydney Conservatorium of Music. But being on a student visa, she couldn't really speak English either. So she's studying time, she's working 3 jobs, single mother, trying to put food on the table to look after me. And there wasn't much time for her to actually look after me. So, I spent a lot of my time on the streets, and, the places that she could actually afford during those times were quite the rough neighborhoods with the cheaper rent.
Imagine.
And the older guy, because I never had an older father figure, and the older guys that I used to look up to were the guys that were on the streets. And I didn't know any better because, they were treating me nice. Yeah. And, I really looked up to them, and I wanted to model what they were doing. And because I didn't have any sense of community or kind of sense of belonging anywhere else, I wanted to be a part of that community. So I ended up joining a gang at a very young age, not because of the criminality factor, only because I wanted to belong. I wanted to have a sense of community.
That's understandable.
And crime became a byfactor, wanting to belong to a community pretty much.
And what kind of crime was it, and what ultimately sent you to prison?
Oh, look, when I was younger, I was, it started off with like little petty crime, delivering little things here and there, going and smashing up shop fronts. And like I said, I'm a total regret right now looking back. But at that time, I thought that was normality. And I dropped out of school at a very young age and continued going down the gang path. And, crime started getting, I guess the level of crime started getting bigger.
Yeah.
At 21, I got sentenced to 13 years in prison for directing a criminal enterprise and for the sale of large commercial quantities of MDMA.
Yeah, okay. But then when you were in prison, you did manage to turn your life around, and a lot of that was through study and education. Who was the person that got you on that path?
Correct. I ended up meeting a mentor in prison. So literally, I was looking around the prison yard, and the common denominator for why everyone was incarcerated was obviously there's a lot of childhood trauma and disadvantage amongst many inmates, including myself. But I also realized that there was a lack of education. I was a part of this statistic. Not many people graduated high school, nor did they go to university. And I thought maybe this education thing might help me to change my life around. And I went to the prison library, got myself a book, and it was called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And in the book, it said, accounting is the language of business. And I'm thinking to myself, I know a little bit about criminal business, so why don't I go teach myself a little bit of this accounting thing? So when I opened up my first accounting textbook, I started sweating because I didn't understand a single thing in there. Everything looked like hieroglyphics. And I wanted, but that exact same day, this guy walked into the yard. The rumor was that he was a billionaire accountant that came to prison for Australia's largest tax fraud.
Oh,
and
gosh.
everyone was trying to extort him because they heard the word billionaire. All I heard was the word accountant. And I actually approached him and gave him a proposal that he couldn't refuse. I said, I'm going to make sure no one lays a finger on you, but in return, teach me accounting every day. And not only did he
You could make a movie out of that.
It's like a Shawshank Redemption story, Definitely, he not only teach me accounting, but he taught me about business. He taught me about the value of education, why I should educate myself.
Yeah.
And most importantly, he taught me about self-worth. And that last part was probably the greatest lesson that I could ever learn in my life.
How did you get that self-worth? Was it through accomplishment, or what was it that actually, because it's hard to find self-worth at any age. I know there's all these hashtags self-love and all that now, but growing up in the 70s for me, there was none of that. You might have got a little bit of help from Oprah, but there wasn't much else there. How did you, from going from where you'd been and feeling so down on yourself to then getting this self-worth, where did it come from?
Yeah, look, there's two components of self-worth. First of all, someone actually believing you. You know, I grew up with no one telling me that you can do something, you can achieve something. You know, there was no words of affirmation growing up for me. Everyone around me I saw was failing, either going to jail or ending up in a cemetery. You know, and there was no self-worth. But this guy comes in and goes, "Joe, you can do it." And he actually even got me to do my HSC, and I actually did my HSC in prison.
Brilliant.
And actually got accepted into University of New South Wales.
Congratulations.
Even things like that, thank you very much, but allow me to believe in myself. Being able to see the outcomes with someone actually guiding you through the process that's the starting point to someone having self-worth.
And what would you say to anybody that's been in your situation that might not have that mentor? How can people educate themselves and make the change in their lives if they don't have that person to fall back on?
Of course, like a lot of people, they still believe, they want to do something. I think a lot of people that have walked in a similar path to me, they all want to do something positive, but they don't know where to start. The first step is to just show up for yourself. And there's so many times, we go, yep, I'm going to go for that, 6 a.m. walk or that 6 a.m. gym session. But you've already programmed in your mind, I don't believe in myself. I don't even trust myself. I've told myself I'm going to do it, but my actions didn't show for it. I don't trust myself. So how am I going to trust anything else that I do? And it's also that it just starts from there, just to say, if I say something, then go and do it.
Go and do it. And is that what inspired you to start Confit? Tell us a little bit about your business and all the giving back that you do now. You really are a true success story of somebody that's turned their lives around, and you should be very proud of that. So tell us about Confit and Confit Pathways.
Yeah, so there's two organizations. So Confit Gym is a social enterprise where we hire formerly incarcerated individuals to become fitness trainers. And it is a platform to bridge the social gap. So it doesn't matter what your background is. You could be someone that's come out of prison, or you could be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. But when you're training at the gym, you're all together. So we're all about an inclusive and diverse community. And also 100% of the profits goes to Confit Pathways, which is our charity that I started. So we run youth mentoring programs in every youth justice centre across New South Wales, and we help young people to have a better understanding of how to make themselves better, and we provide them with pathways to employment and education and that wraparound support. But everything we do with both organisations is based around fitness, because fitness is something that I fell in love with, and something that kept me positive in one of the most negative situations, which was prison. And at Confit, our slogan is train to be free. Because even though our bodies were incarcerated, whenever I used to train, my mind used to be free. And I realized when I got out of prison, so many people were living in metaphorical prisons out in society. There were so many bad habits that were holding people back, or relationships that were not enabling people to live a free life. And I'm thinking to myself, I've come out of prison and have this really positive mindset of living a free life, but all these people who are actually living in freedom don't have that. And I really wanted to help them out. And I actually started a boot camp at a park, at local parks, just running fitness programs. And COVID hit, and we had to actually transition online. And something funny happened. So overnight, we became the experts in confined space bodyweight training, because we used to train in our prison cells all the time.
Yeah, and in a small space.
Exactly. And who would have thought that there would be a time in history where being incarcerated would ever be classified as a skill? So we actually made ourselves as the experts in confined space bodyweight training. And we had companies like Google and Atlassian contract us to to run fitness programs and workshops for all their employees.
Wow, that's amazing. I can really relate to that. My dad was in prison for a lot of years, and whenever he exercised, it was always just by the side of the bed in a really small space. So I can just imagine you guys doing that. And Confit, unfortunately, the gym itself has actually closed recently, hasn't it? So what's the next move for you?
Correct. So, the reason why our gym closed is not just due to, macroeconomic factors, but it was actually eating into our charity.
Right.
And that, the whole purpose was for the social enterprise to support the charity. So, we had to shut it down quickly before it affected the charity a bit too much. But we definitely will come back with another gym moving forward. It will be a little bit more different. But, our mission, not just me, but everyone on our team, is to help the young people. Because why we're youth mentors is the fact that if I had this mentor that I met in jail much earlier on in life, when I was much younger, would I have gone to prison in the first place? And that's with our programs. We not only work on intervention programs within the youth justice centers, but we also work on prevention programs out in the community. So because we believe that no young person should ever see the inside of a prison cell.
Yeah,
so our
I
next
absolutely agree.
To create youth mentoring apps, which will be running in the most remote parts of Australia, where we'll run youth mentoring programs and leave these young people with these mentoring apps that we can connect on.
Well done. You're doing a great job, Joe. I can't believe we're out of time. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Keep doing what you're doing, because you really are making a difference to a lot of people's lives. Thanks so much for coming on, Joe.
Thanks. Catch you later.
In the Driver's Seat is brought to you by the Perfect Cosmetics Company. Join me next time where we learn from more industry legends about how you can take the wheel and steer your life in the right direction. This is Tika, and we'll be right back.
You're watching Ticker. We'll have more in just a few minutes.